Hunger-Free America. We are a nationwide anti-hunger advocacy and direct service group. We're based in New York City, but work statewide and around the country. Before I introduce our distinguished partners, just a brief introduction to why we're doing this today. You know, Dr. King once said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And frankly, sometimes his true legacy is papered over. And sometimes that's misinterpreted as him somehow saying, well, everyone can be great because everyone can, you know, fill bags at a food pantry. He was actually talking about serving in a much broader movement for social justice than aiding charity. And in fact, my favorite quote of his is, what much does it profit a man to be able to eat at an integrated lunch counter if you can't afford a hamburger? And he said that actually a few days before he was assassinated in Memphis, standing with striking sanitation workers. So today we stand up for the true meaning of his legacy. And one of the centerpieces of his work was combining the call for economic justice with racial justice. And one of the centerpieces of that was ending hunger in America. That was a key part of the Poor People's Movement, was actually carried on after his death. And the movement actually pressured our elected officials to create the modern safety net, including the Women's, Infants, and Children program, matching school lunches with school breakfast, and really leading to the creation of the modern food stamps program, which is now called the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. SNAP is by far, you know, the largest nutrition assistance program in New York State. It will spend billions of dollars this year filling the grocery carts of low-income New Yorkers. That's billions of dollars filling the grocery carts of low-income New Yorkers. Every penny of those benefits is paid for by the federal government. The administrative costs are borne relatively equally between the federal government and the state, but every penny of the benefit cost is paid for by the federal government. And as we'll discuss today, the group of people who are most eligible for SNAP but least likely to participate are older New Yorkers. They often think that, well, other people sort of deserve it more than me, and think that, oh, well, if I get this benefit, other people aren't going to get it. Not true. SNAP is an entitlement program, meaning the federal government is required to spend extra money when more people who are eligible, sign up. Some people view, particularly older New Yorkers, view SNAP somehow as welfare. And I won't use this event to litigate whether welfare is a good thing or a bad thing, but SNAP certainly isn't welfare. It's more like Social Security, more like unemployment compensation. You pay into the system when you're doing well and take out of the system when you're doing less well. And then there is a sort of urban myth, well, seniors are only going to get $16 a month or $10 a month or $20 a month, because at various periods of time, that was the lowest benefit available. Well, the average benefit for a household with a senior in it in New York was over $180 a month before the pandemic. And USDA has increased SNAP benefits, so I believe the amount is bigger now. And so we really encourage anyone who's watching, if you need it, get it. Not just for yourself, but your family. It'll help you pay rent. And so not only are we going to have this kickoff rally, we're going to have a phone bank after this, contacting older New Yorkers by phone to let them know that the state just did a great thing. Governor Hochul just announced through OTDA, has introduced the acting commissioner in a few minutes, to make it easier than ever for seniors, older New Yorkers to apply for SNAP, and easier to keep the benefits with a shorter recertification period. And so it is really, we are thrilled that we are being co-sponsored today in this event by the amazing folks at AARP New York. My old friend, who's young but a long-term friend, Beth Finkel, is director of New York AARP. She leads the day-to-day operations of them, who are the most visible and successful organization in New York State, advancing New York's 50-plus population. During her tenure as state director, AARP's powerful lobbying efforts on behalf of their 2.6 million members have led to historic New York State reforms, including passage of the CARE Act, assisted living protections, anti-predatory lending, paid family leave, and affordable housing in New York City legislation, and numerous bills on kin care. She's trained as a social worker and has worked for AARP since 1996. AARP recently gave us a grant to work with them to help increase SNAP access for older New Yorkers. So thank you, Beth, for co-sponsoring, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Joel. We've been working to fight hunger for decades. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it has been decades that we've worked together. And my respect for you and for your organization and Hunger Free America. I'm so happy that our AARP National Foundation gave this grant. It could not have been, they could not have picked a better group to give this grant to reach out and touch people. And I want to thank everybody who's on this training today, because you are making it real. Just as Martin Luther King was so dedicated to service, as Joel was saying, our founder, Ethel Percy Andrus, who founded AARP over 60 years ago. And our motto is to serve, not be served. So you can really see where the synergy with Martin Luther King is, and where we are so impressed with you all for stepping forward to really walk the talk. As Joel said, we have over 38 million members across the country and right here in New York. And why we're so upset about this is because we know that older New Yorkers really are not reaching out and applying for this benefit. And I think Joel's right. There's a huge stigma about that. And each and every one of us can help combat that stigma. As Joel said, we all pay into the system. And if one day we need to tap into that system because we paid in and we paid in our fair share, then we should be able to tap into that and get it as we need it. And one more point I want to make here is there are 350,000 older New Yorkers who do not have enough to eat, and that is really a tragedy. And it's really made worse because of COVID. But it's not just about them. We all know that a lot of older adults live in multi-generational households. And so every time an older person can bring more resources into their home, to the kitchen table, it alleviates hunger among the whole family. Nationwide, 5.5 million people over 60 are food insecure, and most are eligible for the SNAP benefit, and yet less than half are participating. So again, what we're doing here today could not be any more important. So I want to just thank each of you individually. I particularly want to welcome our new commissioner, Commissioner Tietz. Thank you so much for taking on this huge job. You must be incredibly passionate about the work as we are. And I know that Joel and I and our organizations want to work with you as much as possible to make sure that no New Yorkers go hungry, because really, at the very least, shouldn't we be talking about freedom from hunger in the United States in 2022? I'll hand it back to you, Joel, and thank you all.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, AARP, and thank you everyone on your team and all your members. So the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance is one of the most important agencies in the state that many rank and file people have never heard of. OTDA provides temporary cash assistance, oversees the SNAP program, provides temporary heating assistance, oversees New York State's child support enforcement programs, determines certain aspects of eligibility for Social Security disability payments, supervises homeless housing and services program, and provides assistance to certain immigrant populations. We are so thrilled that Governor Hochul recently nominated Daniel W. Tietz to be the new OTDA commissioner, pending confirmation from the Senate, which I believe will happen. Acting Commissioner Tietz is serving in an acting capacity over the agency. He has a long and distinguished career working in both the nonprofit sector and in the government sector. I personally think he's one of the most qualified persons to be nominated for this jobs in decades. So we're thrilled to have the acting commissioner with us. Acting Commissioner Tietz.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joel. That was very kind. And to you, Ms. Finkel, as well, for your kind remarks. I'm very pleased to join you today on behalf of Governor Hochul. I think this is a terribly important issue. I think I agree with Ms. Finkel. I think that this is the perfect subject for MLK Jr.'s birthday holiday. So as Joel alluded, in November, Governor Hochul announced important changes to the SNAP program here in New York to make it easier for older adults to apply for and continue to receive help purchasing food via SNAP. New York leads the nation in SNAP participation among those age 60 and older. Some 70% of older New Yorkers who are eligible are receiving SNAP benefits. Nationally, that's around 42%. So we're doing well, but that still means that there are tens of thousands of New Yorkers who are eligible but are not receiving the benefit. Our suspicion is that some of that, maybe a leading reason for it, of the lower participation rate among older adults is the length and complexity of the form needed to apply for SNAP, as well as the recertification requirement. So the changes that we've made include a simplified and shortened application, which can be used for both applying for and recertifying your eligibility for SNAP. Households now need only complete a single sheet application, front and back, which greatly reduces the time and effort required to apply for or recertify for SNAP benefits. Eligible New Yorkers, older New Yorkers can also now recertify for 36 months, which is 12 months longer than previous. And they no longer are required to interview to recertify their benefits. So frequently, one of the big impediments to this has been successful recertification. So we've eliminated the interview part. We think that these changes will remove key barriers to older adults on fixed incomes from accessing SNAP benefits. And we're very hopeful that these efforts will help put food on the table for the families that Ms. Finkel was referring to. I might also note that in addition to helping individual older adults and their families, this is good all the way around. As Joel noted, this is federal money, every last nickel. New York sends more money to the federal treasury than it gets back by far. This money helps local economies. So speaking of COVID, many local grocers, bodegas and so forth, where you could use your SNAP benefits, have their own challenges. We know that somewhere above $1.70 of economic activity happens for every dollar spent. So it's important, I think, for these individual households, but it's also important for their communities, for the stores in their communities where they would buy this food. So all the way around, this is a good thing. It's a good thing for older adults who are hungry and who are eligible, and it's a good thing for their communities. So we really hope that these changes will help make a difference, and we're looking forward to working with each of you as our community partners to do more wherever we can. Thank you.
Rookie mistake, left myself on mute. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Just two other points before I turn it over to Stephanie for the Phonebank training. You can also use SNAP benefits at most farmers markets around the state, and you can get what's called double up bucks for that. There's also the seniors farmer market program, and so there are literally, just in New York City alone, 8,000 retail establishments you can use SNAP. You can also use them at some farm stands around the state, and I know the governor announced she's going to take the lead on making it easier to use SNAP online at farm stands and farmers markets. And one other key point, a lot of seniors falsely believe that if they own their own home, that makes them ineligible for SNAP. That's not true. If they have limited incomes, no matter how much of a first home they own, that does not count against their SNAP eligibility whatsoever. So that's pretty important. Well, we're not here to talk, we're here to work and go to the Phonebank. So I'll turn it over to our amazing Director of Strategic Volunteerism, Stephanie Wu Winter. And again, thank you, Beth and Commissioner.